Hey folks, Randy here with Dolan Cut and Trim. So something's been on my mind here recently, and it's a principle that I apply to most aspects of my life, and I've applied it to my business, and I just want to tell it to you, see if it'll be helpful to you, because it helps me a lot. And that's the concept that you're not special. You might be special to God, but you're not special. And so that's kind of the simplification of something that I live my life by. But the more in-depth version of that is the overwhelming majority of us are normal. For a lot of us, the statistical things that are out there apply to us. When they say, well, most people do this or most people do that, chances are I'm one of those most people. And since I'm one of those most people, I shouldn't think, or I shouldn't assume that I'll be able to avoid getting stung by things the way most people do. So, well, yeah. So, all right. So, like, for example, because I feel like I'm being vague. Most businesses are out of business around I think it's over half of them are out of business by the 5-year mark, and it's something like 80% of them are out of business by the 10-year mark or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But since that's the case, since most people go out of business, you should look at what most people do in business and then not do that. Because that got them out of business. And so the big thing that stands out to me, and you guys know, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know how I feel about this. The big thing for me is, what do most people do when they go into business? They get into debt. Well, cash flow is the main reason most people go out of business. But if you're not in debt, you're able to be much more flexible with how much cash needs to come into the business, which will keep you from going out of business. So if you don't take on debt, you actually are giving yourself the opportunity to stay out of business longer. I mean, you have to be more creative with how you go about doing things. Yeah. But like, recently I had to take off 10 days because my second son was born. And, because I'm not paying things off, I have zero payments. The only thing I have that I'm like paying on, it actually is my house. And since that's the case, was it a bummer to lose a couple grand last month? I mean, that during that time period, I think it was probably, I don't know, it's probably somewhere around 3 grand, I think. That was a bummer, but it wasn't like a killer because, I'm able to be flexible and nimble with everything that I do. So what I try and do in my business and in my life is I try and see where most people are going wrong, and I take steps to avoid that. So I would encourage you to look into your business and look into ways where you can see where you are following the path that most people are following, and see how you can get off that path, because most folks in business aren't going to survive. So stop doing the things that most people are doing. I'm not perfect at this. I can definitely think of examples of where I'm not doing what would be the right thing in this talk or whatever, but really take a look in your business, in your life, and see what you can do, to keep going. Yeah, you don't have to, just because people get on YouTube and say you have to have 25 grand to start a lawn business, they're wrong. You don't. I started with 40 bucks, $40 that I signed up for Verizon Fios so that I could get the $300 gift card promotion, and I used that to buy the trimmer and blower. So you don't have to go into debt. You don't have to do what everybody's doing. You know, it's just a peer pressure thing. You know, just because they're saying you have to do this doesn't mean you have to. Do whatever you want, you know. Everybody told me I needed to run my business with a trailer, that I really needed a bigger trailer. Never did. Never got it. You know, I had a 5x10 for a while, hated it. Ran my business out of the back of a Dodge Dakota. Serviced 100 lawns, 100 customers at a time with a Dodge Dakota, you know. So just because they're telling you this is what you need to do, I mean, these are also the people that are advising folks that go out of business every day. So do your own research, bro. And don't follow the crowd. Look at what everybody else is doing and see what you can do to insulate yourself from the risks of that, because most folks are going out of business. You know, I think I'm in my 6th year. So over half the people that started lawn businesses in 2015 are out of business at this point. So look for ways to differentiate yourself, look for ways to be different, and don't take on debt. That's the underlying point of this video. So I gotta get to work, but this is Randy with Dolan Cut and Trim. I hope this was helpful to you. Think about it. This just kind of popped into my head, so I wanted to talk about it, but really think about that. You are probably a very normal person, so don't think that most normal people can't play with snakes and not get bit. So just don't play with snakes, you know. It's easy. I've never been bit by a snake, so I don't mess with them. You know, never been bit by a shark because I don't go very far in the ocean. All right, this is Randy with Dolan Cut and Trim. Have a good one.